Political strategist Warren Kinsella and I are here shaking our heads like, what is going on? It just seems as though every day there's something. This, though, takes us to a whole new level.
Yeah, it does. And it's a distraction, you know, not only for the United States, but for the world. Like this
It's actually bigger than a distraction because there's a real concern about a complete abuse of power. If really the allegations are correct that this is happening, this firing of Comey is happening because of concerns that information is being raised about Donald Trump and Russia, that's kind of a big allegation.
If you're a citizen, whether in the United States or anywhere else, you care about the rule of law. You care about having a nation of laws. Like, that's important. You know, that's one of the things that holds us together as a civil society. And you have to ask yourself, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, is it right for someone to fire the guy they know that is investigating them?
Except what the Trump supporters and Trump himself and all of his people will say is this has nothing to do about Russia. This is all to do about Hillary Clinton and firing him because of the way that he handled the Hillary Clinton emails.
You know, prove it then. Let an investigation take place. Look at what he has done. He has now fired the head of the FBI. He fired Sally Yates because she was getting close to the story. He fired the deputy investigator into the case. He got rid of, on a single day, all of the investigators who were associated with the case. So, you know, right now, if you get involved in the Russia-Trump file, you have a very short career. You have a very short life. He's trying to send a chilling message to FBI agents and prosecutors and investigators. If you come near this story, I will get you.
It's a little bit rich, though, for a lot of people that the Democrats, who were also calling for Comey to be fired back when he was sort of hammering in on Hillary, are now stomping up and down as well. It takes a little bit of the wind out of their argument that they wanted him gone before the election.
For sure. And I was one of, as you know, I worked on Hillary's campaign, and I was one of the people who was outraged by what Comey did and felt he should have been fired at that point. But he wasn't. He was kept on. Trump endorsed him, said he was doing a wonderful job. So he's the director of the FBI. He isn't being fired, hasn't been fired for what he said about Hillary Clinton. He was fired for getting too close to Donald Trump and his friends.
Which Donald Trump will deny. But you know, there's this big, seems like a fairly big correlation between what happened with Watergate and Nixon. Is that fair to make that distinction? And for those who don't know, can you draw the parallels between Watergate?
I'm an old guy, so I remember they called it Saturday Night Massacre. And Richard Nixon, there was a special prosecutor in that case, there isn't in this one, called Archibald Cox. And he was a very respected, dignified guy. And Nixon fired him. And he fired a whole bunch of other people as they were getting too close. That marked the beginning and the end for Richard Nixon, because at that point people said that's obstruction of justice, that's a cover-up. And I think that's why people are drawing the parallel last night. Donald Trump is trying to keep these guys away from his backyard, from getting after Donald Trump, but I don't think it's going to work.
Well, so what does this do then for Donald Trump? Because his supporters will dig in and support him sort of regardless, because it's the fake news and the sort of elites who are targeting him unfairly.
Sure.
Does this have the power to dismantle his power?
It does, but not on its own. You know, you got to look at the whole package. That's how people analyze politics, your average person. They're not just looking at this. They don't like this. It's another controversy. But he didn't deliver on getting rid of Obamacare. He didn't crush ISIS like he said he was going to do. He hasn't, in fact, done any of the things that he said he'd do in his first 100 days. That's where his people start to leave him, is he's not delivering in the way that he said he would. And so here it is, yet another drama, yet another. It's like a clown show every day, the most powerful nation on earth. It's a circus, and at some point his voters say, sayonara.
Or as one of the late night guys says, it's either like a dictator or a late talk show host, a reality TV show host is what we're sort of dealing with now.
That's right, but not so funny.
And it'll be interesting to see who he replaces Comey with, because that's going to be kind of a big deal.
And there's talk about Rudy Giuliani, who obviously had some kind of foreknowledge of what the Russians were up to. Chris Christie, you know, who's just been under investigation for a scandal in his home state. Like, Trump doesn't understand. He can't just stick in there a patsy. Like we were talking about yesterday, it's like the movies, right? If the bad guys take out one of the cops, the other cops who are on the investigation don't say, oh, okay, well, we'll just drop it. They become more determined to get the bad guys, and I think that's what's going to happen here.
Warren Kinsella, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now let's send it over to you, Tammy.